Welcome, welcome. Greetings, greetings. Welcome to Mo Money Mondays. I am your host, Vanda, and you are tuned in to All About Us Radio. So, we're doing it again. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. So excited to see you all. So, there's a lot going on in the world, and I love to talk about all things relating to finance, right? That's what we do here. We talk about your money game. We talk about what's going on in the world. We've got a lot going on in the world. And for those of you, we had a discussion earlier in the green room. We've been talking about real estate. Now, I have a company called the Jamison Legacy Group, right? And I am a licensed insurance broker. And I am very passionate about real estate, property, land. You do know that it's one of the greatest commodities, and it has not declined in all of time. We are still doing really fantastic. Those people that own land are still really winning the game. So, what do we have these days? We've got land that is a great commodity. We've got, homes, houses. Silver and gold right now are up. Crypto is down. Okay, well, that's okay. Because, whatever goes up comes down, and whatever goes down will come back up, as well as stocks. So, tonight, though, we're going to talk a little bit about land and property and real estate. And mostly because I'm going to share my experience with you since I'm looking, I'm starting to take that leap. And you guys, there's a lot to learn in the real estate market. So during COVID, I was interested and I was kind of perusing uh, the websites, looking online, signing up with some of those local agencies that would show you homes and take you on an online tour through the house. And that was kind of cool. And the prices were really inexpensive. How about that? But during COVID, it became really tough on the real estate market. And has it rebound yet? Well, I think it's beginning to, right? Here we are now. It's 2022. Everything is starting to go back to normal, or our new norm, right? Everything is a new norm. But in 2021, um, around this time, actually, there was a huge decline, right? And mortgage interest rates really reached an all time low. Everything plummeted. Let's see, I think stats say there was like a 45, maybe even a 50% decrease across the US, which caused, the price of homes and apartments to skyrocket. So, there's been an increase in listings, though. New listings are on the rise. I'm very excited about that because I'm looking again. I'm not excited, though, that the market is a little expensive. I'm wondering if it's in my budget. But according to Fox Business, we are definitely starting to see supply and demand move to some form of stability, which is, cooling off the competition now that buyers have more options to consider. So this is a good thing. And if you're in the market for, even if you're renting, it's still competitive out there, right? Because there's not a lot to choose from. We went, or there wasn't. Now there is, but have you noticed that prices have gone up just a little bit? So I think the prices will continue to rise, but at a slower rate. How about that? And so builders are beginning to, take over. We're seeing just a little bit more construction, just what we need, right? A little bit more construction. So tonight I have a special guest, and she's going to allow me to interview her as if I am looking for a broker. So let me just clue you in just a little bit. When you are looking for a house or looking for an apartment, even if you're just looking to rent, it's important what broker you use. And very rarely do we consider interviewing our agent. right? The person that you are going to be spending a lot of time with, chatting with on a daily basis to get this perfect space to make your sanctuary to live in. So I've learned that it's very important to make sure that you know who you're going to be working with. Kind of like a job, guys. How often we're usually so excited about getting a job. Do you interview the job though while they're interviewing you? So I really want to for us to kind of study that tonight, that there is a process and there are questions that you should be asking your broker or your agent if you're getting help finding an apartment or finding a house. And so I have a lovely young lady that is going to join us tonight, and she is a real estate mogul in the New York area, as well as other states. We're going to hear more about that. But she has been in the industry for a couple of decades. She knows her stuff. And she is at the top of her game in New York City. She's even had a building named after her. She's an author. She's quite a pizzazz when it comes to creativity. She's beautiful. She's an ex model. She's a singer. There's almost nothing that this young lady does not do. So I would like to introduce and come on and join us, Miss Poochie Jones, New York Realtor Extraordinaire. Are you there?
I'm here. Hello. Thank you for inviting me to
Welcome, welcome.
Money Monday.
Mo Money Mondays,
Love it.
where we talk about all things money.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So,
And right now, I know real estate is popping. It
yes,
is
yes.
springing back up. So please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Okay. So, I am Poochie Amanda Jones. I'm a jazz musician, author, painter, stylist. But in the real estate business, it's Amanda Jones. And I'll tell you, when I started about I'll say 20 some odd years ago, I was with this company. They took me on before I even got my real estate license. And when I interviewed with the woman, she says, "No, we're not going to call you Poochie. It's going to be Amanda Jones." I said, "Okay." And there you go. And it
Ever
took off
since.
after that. So, yes, the market is heating up, but I think what we should do, and this is a good learning lesson for people that are interested in purchasing or renting. So if you're looking now, so interview me. Throw the questions left and right, Vanda, which I
Okay, okay. Yes. Well,
and
I've
put
been
them on the spot because that's what most people don't do when they're interviewing. It's always this person who knows this person who knows this person. But you really should sit down and interview
and
your
she's here for it,
prospective
guys. She's
broker.
ready for me. How about that? Okay, so I have my notes. I will
Oh,
interview away.
you got them.
So yes, welcome, Miss Amanda Jones. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, you should know. Okay, Amanda Jones. Google her. Their pages. It's amazing. I googled you. I was so impressed. I was just like, really?
Oh,
Yes, she
oh,
has she has led a full life. Um, well, thank you so much, Miss Jones. So do tell, you are a real estate agent in the New York area. Are you full time or are you part time?
well, the thing about with real estate, it's actually 24/8, not 24/7. It's
Okay.
24/8. You have to be ready for whatever comes up must come down, and what goes down must come up. There's always circumstances in the business. So I'm with England Vocals, which I love the company. I just signed with this company. They're international.
Nice.
They have an office at 430 Park Avenue. It's nice and it's very classy. And right now there's about 40 some odd agents in the office and this part of New York, but we're all over the world. So it's one thing that I like about that is not there's not 1,000 agents sitting on top of each other in one building. So I really like the
Mm.
company.
It's
And
important to like where you are.
again, oh, trust me, I was with the first company, which I will not mention their name, for about 20 some odd years. And then I took a hiatus to go to Bangkok. Uh, and then I came back and I went with another company, which I was so unhappy because you have now companies are becoming technical, and you have youngsters that are in their 20s that don't have the patience to teach someone that's not in their 20s.
Mm.
So the company that I'm with now, I'm planning on sticking on. So I,
Excellent.
I'm at, when it's with my client, I'm I'm at your beck and call because you have to stay on top of the deal, not under it, not above it, but right on top of it. And things do happen. I've had situations where we're going to close on a Monday, and on a Sunday night, I get a call and say, "I've changed my mind."
No.
Oh no, yes.
You can do that? Like the night before the morning?
They lose their deposit, and it's like I don't mind losing my deposit. I'm just not going to move forward. And you work so hard for your client, and my job is to pull it back, pull it back, and sometimes a closing is delayed because I'm roping it in. I've worked too hard for not only my client but you to make a deal where everyone is happy and satisfied. And that's the goal of a
Mm.
good broker. Sometimes, unfortunately, you have to kind of play with the commission that's owed to you. Sometimes.
So, are you saying that sometimes a no is not a no?
Well, in
It's
my
just not right now. I mean, do you have to go back to the drawing board if someone does that and decides that no?
a first time home buyer will get cold feet. You could show them 40 apartments and they
Mm.
decided to pick that one apartment, and they're a first time home buyer and it's time to close. And I can understand the fear if you've never owned anything. So when they call you and say, well, no, I don't want to close, you give it time, you give it time. And once that fear dissolves and they understand that they're getting ready to own something that is very valuable,
Mm.
that down the line is going to increase in value, then it's like, I'm sorry I put you through this. It's like, it's
It's
okay.
scary.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's
very
scary.
scary.
Well, those are
It's,
big numbers.
yeah.
When we're talking about a house or an apartment or even putting down 3 months rent these days on a nice size apartment, it's a
But,
lot of money.
let me just say with rent, once upon a time, you had people coming in from various countries relocating that didn't have credit, not in America, and they could pay in advance, a year in advance. Not anymore. You cannot offer a year in advance in rental payment. It's
Why?
a
Why
month.
is that? Is that because everything is so by the book now and so?
Everything is so by the book. It's a month's
Mm.
rent, a month's security, and most companies do insurance or some sort of company that's going to guarantee if you fall or falter from paying your rent, then they got your back because you're paying money for these companies. They're the guarantors.
Guarantor.
So,
So
yeah.
for a young person,
Mhm.
I've seen this where they might not have enough experience in life. They might be of age, but they don't have the banking or so the parents are the guarantor.
The parents are the guarantor. Yes. And
Okay, so
that
that in
happens a
case.
lot in New York City.
Yes, I've
Um,
seen this.
I had a gentleman who rented a very expensive townhouse, and he came from California, and basically the townhouse he wanted to rent because he was watching TV and he saw townhouses in Harlem.
Yes.
So he told his father that he wanted to move to Harlem into a townhouse.
Mhm.
His father had to be the guarantor.
Very
So
nice.
real estate is a book itself. It's a novel. It's drama. It's comedy. It's tragedy.
Drama, comedy, tragic. Oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah.
I would imagine yes, because you're dealing with people.
Human
And
emotion.
we are, and it's emotional. Any purchase is emotional,
It,
especially big ones. I remember buying my car last year. That was a big deal.
emotion.
I was at the car dealer for hours, so I can't even imagine what goes into. But I'm about to know because I am starting to dip my toe in that market, and
Yes.
so I'm learning that one of the things that you need to do is what we're doing here today, guys. We are interviewing Miss Amanda Jones, the broker, the agent. So, my next question would be, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I really appreciate you making time for me. But can you speak to how you communicate? Am I able to call you, text you? Are you available,
Come have
all the
coffee
time?
with me. Let me take you out to dinner. Do you want to go shopping? We've closed. Should I take you to Chanel? Good. Yes,
Ooh, all of that.
yes.
Okay.
When it comes
Really? You're
when it comes
kidding.
to my clients, I want them to refer me because referral is the best compliment. So if
Mm,
I do a phenomenal job for you, what you're going to say is, I have someone for you. Let me introduce you to my broker. I pride myself in being there for my client, no
okay.
matter what. Do you need to go to the hospital or you're having a baby? Your husband is not, don't worry, I got you Uber. I am actually,
Wow.
oh yeah, I go 100% for my clients because
Okay.
referrals are the best
Yeah.
compliment.
I would imagine so. I had a question about referrals. And I was going to ask, how important are they? So you've already jumped the gun on that. Um, where do you get your leads from? How does that work for someone in your industry?
It's interesting because I've been around for quite some time. And when I was with the other company, I started working in development by complete accident. It was a complete accident.
Lucky
I
you.
have to thank Hal Henderson, um, who actually helped me and took me by the hand because the first company I was with, they didn't want to get their Jimmy Choos dirty. So they didn't want to come to Harlem.
Okay.
And it was okay. And I started doing business in Harlem. And the first development that I did was on 109th Street and Madison Avenue. And the strange thing about it is, I was walking in the neighborhood and I saw this huge sign that said apartments for sale. So I called the developer. I said, my name is Amanda Jones and I live around the corner from your building. And he never got back to me. And a week later, Hal Henderson called me and said, there's a building on 109th Street and they need a so
Divine intervention, right?
I totally believe in that. And I said, Hal, I just called that building. So when I met with the developer, I went inside the building, and at that time, and that was about, I'll say, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And at that time, 109th Street and around that area, before the African Museum, before the new buildings went up, it was a very tough area. It was really tough. And when I went in to see the apartments, he had a bowl of orange Cheetos and a wicker basket and a card table. And I said, I need a budget of $2,500. I'm going to IKEA. The, but first, let me backtrack. It was on the market for 6 months, and he didn't sell not one property, not one apartment.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And I went to IKEA, decorated the unit, and the Real Deal wrote about this. I sold the building
What?
within 6 months.
Get
Now,
out. The building.
the apartments in the building. And the thing about it is, it was interesting because you had drug activity, you had everything happening in the building. And as a matter of fact, on 110th Street, before they built this beautiful building, no, it's 109th Street, they used to have roosters.
I know because that area is El Barrio.
Yes, and
Right.
they
Hmm.
had they were fixing cars
I know the area.
and basically, and I tell this story all the time. When I would go to the building, I would see the people in the neighborhood, and I would make friends with them, and I would have open houses, and I went and bought a white shirt, pair of pants, and I said, "Now you're gonna be my doorman." And when people would come, they would say, "Hey, Amanda!" They would shout. They would shout.
Out the window.
Somebody coming upstairs. No,
Oh,
they would
wow.
be downstairs.
That is Harlem.
Right, right. Not anymore.
Not
And
anymore. Yes. That
no,
was Harlem.
it was beautiful. And basically, that's how the developer found me for the Amanda condominiums on West 128th Street. He said, if you could sell all of these apartments and the amount of time that you did, let me bring you over to this building. And at the time, the building wasn't built. He showed me the land. Next door, it was a rehab center.
Okay,
And
so this is different than 109th. Where are you taking us to
now
now?
this is the Amanda condominiums. And 109
Oh,
is
right.
how we got the recognition to move further uptown
Got
to
it.
129. And I sat with the architect and the developer, and I said, this is what you need to bring to Harlem. It was only 5 apartments. I said, you need to bring the village uptown. Keyed
Mm.
elevators, high ceilings, lots of closets. They did exactly what I told them to do in designing the building. The first apartment that I sold was $500,000.
Wow. And
That
what
was,
what year was this?
this was 2000, maybe 2001,
Wow.
2002. The
Those are some nice numbers.
Yes, and it was shocked because I didn't know how to price it. So I sold the first apartment, the penthouse, and then we went down from there. And
Wow.
that's when they said, you know what, we're going to call this the Amanda condominium.
And that changed the game in the entire neighborhood, I'm sure, because
It
especially in New
changed
York,
the
it
game
changed
because
everything. Yeah.
yeah, you had other companies coming up and saying, look at the money this company is making up here.
And for those that don't know, once there is a sale in your community, in your neighborhood, that is significant, it changes the ballpark for all other units that are
Yes,
going to be on the market in the future. So if your property has been worth, let's say you had an appraisal and it was worth $150,000, and let's say it's in Harlem, but someone renovated their apartment and really upscaled it to the point that they were able to now get 300,000 for it. Well, you are now in a different market.
yes. And I advise owners when they're getting ready to sell, I advise them don't do anything of your taste. because basically
Mm,
person that's buying want their taste. They're going to redecorate. And and some people,
that's a
they,
good point.
oh yes. I
It's a
mean,
good point.
you're cleaning up, paint it, you may, renovate the kitchen, but leave your taste out of it. It's like do it in a like a white box.
Yeah,
You know,
because they're going to come in and change everything and make it their own. And
and
you've just,
some people will say, well, you know what, I like it, but I got to tear this wall down. Or I have
yeah,
to take this down. And every time they say what they're going to do, that's subtracting money from the sale price.
I understand.
So, in some units in Harlem, they were selling as is. And really, that is really the best way to sell it,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
is. You get less, but then you may get less if you go in and spend $250,000 on a renovation that somebody doesn't want.
Or that doesn't turn out the way you thought.
Yes,
I've
exactly.
had that experience too. Inferior work, and now it's costing you more than the estimate because once again, I'm
Exactly.
learning how to buy a house. And there is also a learning curve with learning how to have the work done and the
Exactly.
contracting and the renovations when you buy a house or buy an apartment and
And,
then want to remodel.
and also, when you hire a contractor, you have to do your due diligence. You have to make sure that
Yeah, it's a lot of work though, Amanda. And you have a job. You're working. So you're
yeah, but
working 40
some
hours a week.
contractors will sell you a bill of goods and can't do the work, and then
Absolutely.
there's a lawsuit, and then the house is tied up. Like I said, referrals are the best compliments, that you get someone that you have seen his before and after. He has insurance. You check the Better Business Bureau. I mean, you just make sure that you are satisfied with the work that's going to be done by them, and the referrals from not one person, not two persons, not three, but referrals from as many people that makes you feel comfortable that you're not hiring someone that's going to knock a hole in the wall and don't come back,
Yeah.
and then put a lien on the property where you
Yeah.
can't sell.
Right. Those reviews, those referrals, and I'm guilty of that. I thought two was enough, and it was
Ah,
not. So I am actually in the midst of that, and we are about $15,000 over budget with the renovation,
I think
and
that's what
it's
happens.
it's a
Two,
beautiful nightmare.
yeah. And yes, it's a beautiful nightmare. Two is never enough.
Yeah.
Two is never enough. As a matter of fact, talk to their mother. I mean, go as far as like, let me talk to your mother. Let me see
Yes.
what,
I want to meet your family.
and your principal.
Well, that brings me to my next. So, okay, I'm interviewing my real estate agent, right? Because I'm interested in looking at homes. I want to buy a home, and then I would ask. This is a good question. Well, what brought you to this industry? Why do you? How are you a game changer? What makes you any different? What's your superpower?
That's so interesting because, and I keep saying this about referral business. I started when I did not know anything about this business. I remember, and I
Mm,
still use him as an attorney. His name is Paul Giddens. As a matter of fact, I just did a deal which he's going to be the attorney on. The first deal
nice.
was with a family member of Heinz Ketchup. It was at 357 West 57th Street,
You
and
remember
it
the
was
number.
and they loved this building. When they saw it, they said to me, and this was the first time out of the box. As a matter of fact, now that I can mention it, one of the guys at the company that I worked passed this call to me. It was a referral call that I wasn't supposed to get, but he passed this call to me. And when I went and saw the apartment, the woman liked me and she gave me the exclusive. I was advertising it. And when the couple came in. They said, "Okay, can we write a check right now?" And they paid me.
Wow.
But wait a minute. And when they said that, it's like, I don't know what to do. Now, yes, I've been into training. Yes, I got my real estate license. I called Paul Gittin. And the reason that I called Paul, because the broker who was sitting next to me, she was a phenomenal broker. And she would always use Paul Giddens. So that's the name that kept ringing in my ear. So I called him and I said, "My name is Amanda." He says, "Oh, I remember you," because they would come to the office and do meetings. I said, "I have a client here that would, they want to write a check and buy the apartment." Now, it was a co op.
Right now.
So he said, "Can you bring them to my office?" So I said, "Well, can you come to Paul's office with me?" And he's on 42nd Street. What he did when we got to the office, what he did, he says, "Now, Amanda told me that you're interested in the apartment. So the first thing that you have to do is get a real estate attorney." I know Amanda told you that. And I'm like, no, she didn't either.
Okay.
And he went, we have to get the real estate agent will do his due diligence, the financials, uh, your board package. I mean, he just went through everything. He says, and I'm sure I meant to explain that to you. And it's like, oops.
You're excited. You're excited.
The way he made me look in front of my client. Like,
Mm,
and it's like, well, and they didn't say I didn't tell them, because I didn't tell him anything. It's like, "Can you come to Paul's office?" That's why I used him today, because he did not make me look like a fool. I
yeah,
learned so much from him. And everything he was saying, I would say, "Yes, Paul, I didn't tell them yet, but yes, I'm going to tell you." And he just opened the door for me to look like I knew what I was doing.
right.
We
Beautiful.
closed the
So
deal.
they would be, so yes, because you need to be confident, when you're buying. So, and it's really great to have someone who knows how to edify, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
leverage that
yes.
and make sure you get the sale.
Yes.
Make sure you
And
get the
let
sale.
me just talk about real estate brokers for a minute. You have to hire a real estate broker that's going to do his due diligence. Now, I
Yes.
mentioned Paul Giddens. Paul Giddens, I had a deal, and he did his due diligence, and he told my clients that this was a bad deal. They should not
Mm.
have. Yes,
And
yes.
what did you do?
Oh, I was pissed, but I understood.
Yeah.
He told them. I mean, they didn't buy it, and I kept the clients, but I learned something from that. He said, "You should invest in this property." And I was like, wow, did he really just say that? And then after they left, I said, "I don't understand why you did that." He says, "Amanda, because it wasn't right after he did his due diligence. Find them something else." I respect him to this day. Not
Integrity.
integrity, not only
Integrity.
good
Yes.
integrity. Not only
Good
did I
integrity.
find them something else, it was more money.
Oh, excellent for you. Wow.
It was
You're
more
so
money.
successful. So successful. Well, we are going to take a little break and we will be back with Amanda Jones, Real Estate Extraordinaire. So, what, 30 seconds? Okay, let's hit it.
Throw and tuck. It's handmade by myself, and you only can get it here, and it's patent, and it's only here at Rococo Design. It's like a regular pillow, or you can take the blanket out like so, fluff up the pillow, open up your blanket, wrap it around yourself, and then you can lay on your sofa and relax with your pillow, throw and tuck. When you're done with it, Just flip it over. When you don't want the blanket anymore, you just fold it over twice. Fold it over twice again. Fold it over. And tuck it in the back. And there you go. You're back to the pillow throw and tuck. The Coco design.
Wonderful. And we're back. I am
Yes.
Vanda, your host tonight. You are tuned into Mo Money Mondays, and where we talk about all things money and your money making sense. Tonight we are tuned in with Miss Amanda Jones, real estate extraordinaire, and we're talking about the value of property and how you should vet a broker when you are looking for an apartment or a house. So let's get back to it. You have answered, I really did my homework. And I thought, okay, what are the questions that I should ask when I'm interviewing a broker? And you've really hit on most of the key points just in the conversation, which tells me that just sitting down to talk with you, as the buyer, if I have reviewed and I've done my research and I know the information that I'm trying to extract, that if it comes up in a conversation and I'm speaking with someone who is hitting all of the nails on the head, then I know I've got a sure winner. And you are a winner. So, but I have one more. So let's talk about negotiation.
Okay.
That's really important. And I'm trying to really understand that sometimes the offer and the appraisal are different. And the
Mm.
buyer may have to go, the buyer and the seller have to go to the table and renegotiate. So, how are you at in negotiating?
Oh, fabulous.
You sound like you get what you want. So,
You know, absolutely fabulous when it comes to negotiation. Wait, let me pull this down. Oh, there you go. There you go. So, my fiduciary responsibility is to my client to get the best deal possible.
mm,
And like I said, when you're negotiating, you do comps first. You have to see what's selling in the building and what's comparable. That's number one. And with that, you sit down with your client. We talk financing. We talk about how much money you want to put down to make sure that after the purchase is the apartment is purchased, that you have money to decorate, to finish it, and to do whatever you need to be done to the apartment. So I can't give all my secrets away.
well, just give us one.
Well,
Just
you
give us
never,
one.
how can I say this? Let me just do bidding war, so I could stay safe.
Okay, that
Let me
sounds
just do
interesting.
the bidding war. So, say for instance, and I tell my clients this, and this is one thing we have to cover. If you like an apartment, and when you walk in, you feel like I'm home. Don't
Mhm.
say I want to see three more apartments or 10 other apartments because you may lose this one. And I stress to my clients, you're not the only one looking for this. That's number one. So if you see an apartment and if it's your 20th apartment and this
Mm,
is the one, you make an offer because
Okay.
you're not unusual.
And it
There,
may not be there if you decide to come back.
I've had clients, and I said, let's make an offer now just to be in the game. They said, well, no, I want to see other apartments. And then when they come back, I said, let's make an offer.
Yeah.
The broker will say, well, Amanda, I have a full ask offer. Can your client go higher?
Oh,
I go back to
okay.
the client. Then she gets pissed. Why are you upset? I told you to get into the game. What do you mean they have a full price offer? They have a full price offer. This is what the broker said to me. You make an offer, so she has to go higher than the offer. And then the broker goes back to the person who made the full price offer. And she goes higher. Then you go to best and final, closed bids. So that's why I tell my clients, if you love the apartment, let's get into the game right now.
I understand.
Bidding wars are horrible because somebody wins, somebody loses.
Well, and it sounds like even the person that wins is going to be extending themselves
Well, yes,
financially more than I
yes
mean
and
because
no.
okay.
There's a yes and no. I mean, if you ever watch that show, uh, The $1 Million Listing,
No, I
they
haven't.
get full price, which I don't, for various reasons, but they get full price offers. They get
Mm,
full price offers, and then they'll go back and, sometimes, let me see, you don't know if it's true or not. You don't. You
right.
just have to believe what the broker is telling you, because the broker's fiduciary responsibility is get the best and highest offer
Okay.
for their client.
It's kind of like you guys take an oath to
Yes. And
fiduciary responsibility.
now let's say the apartment. There's an apartment that I know of that's been on the market for 141 days.
What is that? 369 till that's like 4 months. Okay.
149 days.
Over 4 months. Okay.
That's a lot of days.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. Now, with that, let's say you've been watching this apartment, and some people do this. The apartment was priced too high in the very beginning. I know that. The broker knows that. Sometimes you have to do what the owner tells you to do. Even when you say, this is too high. Well, this is what I want. And if you won't do it, I'll get somebody else to do it. And somebody else will do it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
this is a game. It's a game. It's a cutthroat game. Let me just put it out there. So somebody else will do it. Now, if it sits on the market for 141 days, or maybe 200 days, that's nearing a year. So now you have to reduce the price. Now, a person who wants this apartment is watching it, waiting, and they probably saw the apartment. So now it's reduced, let's say $50,000. Still too high. Somebody will come in and make a low ball offer. So basically, you negotiate and you bring it where a level where the owner makes her money or their money or his money. But sometimes it's extremely hard when you have owners, and most owners value their apartments for more than what it really is worth.
Yeah. That's a tough conversation.
That's
Um,
very tough. But you're on the verge of a person saying, well, I'll get somebody else.
right. So you've got to be really patient and really graceful and really tolerant and have a lot of compassion. I would
You
imagine you also
have to
have
be all
to.
of that and, have a nice cocktail at the end of the day.
And do what I would call an Olivia Pope and be able to spin the situation in the
Well,
favor
see
of you
that
and your client.
it's so interesting that you use that word, spin. That's an interesting word. And give me a moment, because that's an
Okay.
interesting that. So when you oh God, I'm
Well,
spellbound. When you
sometimes it's perspective, and
right
if you
because
can
but
transform perspective.
I I wouldn't say spin because then that's leaning towards you doing something that's not in the book. What you
Okay.
have to be able to do is to negotiate, try to get the best price, make everyone happy. That's what I just did this afternoon. And sometimes you
Oh,
have to, yes, I have to make him happy
okay.
because green is still green in America. And I
Indeed.
always say some money is better than no money. And sometimes
Understood.
you have to renegotiate your commission to make it work.
To make it work.
To make it work. And
Well, that's an interesting thing to know.
yes,
I
yes,
I didn't know that, and
yeah.
that can affect the buyer.
Uh,
Does that
it
does
just
that does that affect the
doesn't affect
buyer
the buyer. It
renegotiating?
affects the seller because the seller is saying, "I want this amount
Seller.
of money."
Okay.
So when
Okay.
they subtract your commission, it's like, okay, so I would like to accept his offer, but we need to talk. I've had a lot
Okay.
of conversations.
You can
And
do that. Oh, I'm going to be a seller one day too, so that's interesting to know. Not that I'm
it's
going for that,
your
but
bottom
I
line. It's
I
your
thought it was cut and dry.
nothing in real estate is cut
I
and
didn't
dry.
know there was room there. Uh,
Nothing in real estate is cut and dry. It
okay.
is wet and wavy.
Wet and wavy.
It's wet and wavy.
Okay, wet and wavy. We're talking about real estate, everyone. We're talking about real estate.
Oh yes.
Um, I have a question, and this is just my own question.
Mhm.
That went very well, and I would hire you. There we go. You would have been very successful at my interview. But I wanted to speak just a little bit about, and because you're a vet, and you've been in the industry for so long, and what, how has technology amped up your game?
So most companies, the newer companies, not like in the olden days where you can go to a portal, get the listing, the exclusive agreement. Is so easy. Everything now I feel is too complicated. Unless you
Mm,
have an assistant to put the listing in, to find the exclusive agreement, you're sitting there doing everything yourself. And that takes time away from what you need to do is sell, interview, get exclusives. The second company that was with, I hated it. Absolutely. I spent more time trying to figure out where's the exclusive agreement. I lost business because I could not get the exclusive agreement. You have to do this and you have to touch that and you have to wipe this and you have to say hello to that. You have to say goodbye. Come on now.
yeah.
So they back in the day, it was so easy. You take the exclusive agreement, you print it, you take it to the office manager, he signs it, you take it to the receptionist, and she sends it off to the office. Now, unless you are a whiz at everything, no. And I don't have time to try to figure out. Here's the exclusive. I found it. I can't type in it. Oh, you got to download it. Really?
But what about the part of technology that lets you create visuals for people anywhere,
That's
whether they're with
phenomenal.
you.
So
Yeah.
part B of my answer, that's beautiful. I mean, it's so easy to move around and get things done, but the paperwork to me is quite difficult.
Mm.
It should be so easy, but once you learn it, and it takes a minute to learn it, it's still difficult.
Okay.
It's just, I think they need to bring back the assistance.
Well,
They
they have
need
virtual assistants now.
exactly,
They have
exactly.
virtual assistants.
Some of them are
That's a
in the
really big deal.
some of them are in the Philippines. So
Yes. Well, there's
I'm
also
OG. I'm OG.
there's a thought though that, I know in my industry when we're dealing with people's financials, I can't hire assistant because
Mm,
I have a fiduciary responsibility to privacy, and so I can't have people necessarily help me. I think that some of that might be true with you as well. We're looking at bank account numbers and social security numbers. No.
with that, back in the day when, well, still now, when you do a board package, some of the information is redacted. And yes,
Okay,
I
good.
am held to a certain standard where after you have been approved, I go shred all of your information,
Hmm.
all of your financial information,
Great.
because I have access to your birth date,
Yeah.
access to your social security, I have access to all of that information. After the deal is done, let's have a shredding party. I'll
Okay.
bring the wine, we'll sit there, or the champagne, or the truffles. We'll sit there and shred all of your information.
Yeah. Very important. Very
Oh,
important.
it's very important.
Guys, did you hear that? You need to be aware and ask questions. Where's your information going after the sale? And so often, there are a lot of people that don't even think about that, even with rentals and when to leave. And it's important. I always think of that.
Well,
I
you
actually applied for an apartment. I made a cash offer and they denied me. Uh, but I actually went to the management company and asked for my file back because I did not feel confident with the way the office was run. I didn't want my information lingering around. So it's very, very important to think about. We are almost out of time. And
oh,
I have to have you share about, so who gets a building named after themselves? I mean, like in New York, no less. So please tell that story.
you, you
That's what
know,
we're going out on.
you,
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she has had a building named after her.
what's so interesting is that it was named. Oh God, don't! I'm not gonna cry. It was named after my grandma. I was
Oh,
named after my grandma.
nice.
My grandmother, her name was Mandy. She was a slave. She was owned back in the day.
Hmm.
And I never liked Amanda. How many black Amandas do you know? And I never really liked that name. It's like, it doesn't fit my personality.
Hmm.
And when I applied at the first company and she says, well, no, we're not going to use this name. We're going to use Amanda Jones. It's like, okay, that's my grandmother's name. And when they named the building after me, it's like, oh my God. It was so touching because this is a woman that I never met, that I heard stories, that I saw pictures of. It's like, wow, Amanda, this is named after you. And it made me feel so proud to say, no, it was named after my grandmother, a woman that I never met.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
it was interesting because I did a good job at 109th Street in Madison, and they saw that I know how to bring people together, and they were just elated that I could do the job, and I did a good job for them. And then I got another development on 117th Street before Costco's and that whole
I know
area.
that area. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they found me because of the Amanda.
Beautiful.
But then, like I said, after a while, when you start making money in a certain area, everybody's ears perk up to say, wait a minute.
They say money talks.
Yeah, Harlem is not, you know what, we need to move on up to the east side, to Harlem.
Nice.
It's not a deluxe apartment in the sky, but it soon will be. So basically, Harlem now is multicultural. Everyone is here. And it's still thriving. I've moved downtown now, even though I sell all over. Have property, will sell. If you want me for your broker, you best believe that I'm going to give you not 100%, not 500, but all of me to make sure that
all 200% of her.
Amanda Jones was good, and this is the broker that you need to work with.
There you go.
Yes.
So you are with Engel and Volker.
Yeah.
Let folks know how to find you.
Yes, I'm with Engel and Volker, 430 Madison, 430 Park Avenue. I think you listed my information. It's Jones.
I see it.
JHONES. You just put in Amanda, AMANDA JHONES, and trust me, you will find me. You'll see the pages where I perform as a jazz musician. You'll see stories where I actually toured Bangkok, Japan, Paris, and Russia. But I'm the same person.
I love it. And as well as an author, and I just want you to know that I will never forget that when I met you, it was Amanda Jones. And I think we were talking about the name, and she said, Google me. So for all of you, I will say, in this case, the vet, when you've been in the industry for over 20 years, you are seasoned, you get to where you have the right to be the OG. And that is Amanda Jones. New York Real Estate Extraordinaire. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for going through all of these lessons with me. Folks, it is so important to interview your realtor, interview your real estate agent, your real estate broker. If you are looking for property, whether you're renting, whether you're buying,
yes,
you have the right to make sure that they are the right person for you. And Miss Amanda Jones has been proof of that tonight. And she scored so high. She answered every single question, literally on target. Thank you so much, Amanda. Also known as Poochie in the jazz world. So I love that. So nice to see you. Thank you for coming and joining us and teaching us so much. I hope you'll come back.
You're fabulous.
Come back again. Mo Money Mondays. We are always here. Every Monday night at 8:00, and I'm gonna let you take us out. So folks, stay safe, stay woke, and live each day with intention. We'll see you next week.
Vanda.
Yes.
To you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website, www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444, extension 1, and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio.